1440.
And welcome in, everybody. Hope this day finds you well and finds you doing pretty good. I guess this morning it's Councilman. Been down there for a little while now. Don't know exactly how long he's been there. I think my child's in kindergarten. But now he's 30. So I guess you've been there for a minute there, Mr. Pruitt.
Must be doing something right.
Yeah, let's hope that it keeps going.
That's it.
We hope that it keeps going. I mean, you've been through some controversy things, listen, I like you back in the day when you sang that song. I'm good with that.
Man, Clarence Carter.
Yeah, you and Clarence Carter. Yeah, together again. We was all right with that.
My wife and my family have banned me from singing that.
Well, we.
I still sing it in the shower.
Yeah, I know you do. Okay, I do. Anyway, our guest this morning is Mr. Glenn Pruitt. He is a city council person, and you know what? Most of the time, you try to reach out to him, he'll reach out to us back. There are some people down there who ain't never been on the radio. Who will never come talk to the people, but I'm good. He always does. But the reason why we asked him here this morning, and I do have it on my thing right here, but since I have you here, I don't need to play it anymore. You want to use off-duty officers.
Correct.
To write tickets.
Correct.
If they're off-duty.
Correct.
What gives them the authority to write a ticket?
Because they're in uniform, they're in car. I'm sorry, Kev.
Yeah.
When they're in uniform, in the car, they are on duty. It's a terminology, Kevin. We hire off-duty officers all the time.
Right, I got
I've
that.
hired them for Sturbridge. I've hired them for Carriage Hills,
right.
for extra.
But they're not on the public highway writing tickets to people.
But in what their job, Kevin, that if they're riding these neighborhoods for extra patrols, extra protection, if they see something, they can make an arrest.
Well, they're policemen.
That's correct.
I got you.
And if a policeman is riding to work, for example, in the middle and headed to shift change, and guy comes past him going 120 on the interstate, he hadn't really gone to clock in, right? He still can stop that individual and
because he still maintains the
correct.
Okay, so the word off duty
is a terminology.
It's kind of like being a soldier because you're still a soldier.
Right.
Even if you're not on base, and there's still an accountability factor.
That is correct.
We call it conduct unbecoming and things of that nature. So why don't we just say, off duty, but you're not really ever off duty.
Well,
then.
what the process is, Kevin, there's a gentleman, Corporal Ryan, that handles our off-duty work. For example, if you wanted to hire off-duty for a party that you're having, you would contact him and go through the procedures, and that's off-duty. So that's what these individuals' neighborhoods would do. It would not be the council person. Let me make sure everybody understands that. It would not be the council person that's out here paying these officers out of the...
That'll be us.
Yeah, it'll be a neighborhood association. So, for example, I heard one of your callers this morning talking about, they're going to write tickets to the poor people. I heard that this morning.
Which they will.
Well, I hadn't seen many poor people riding around town in a Dodge Charger or Ford, Mustang, a 2022 with them loud pipes on it. But it will be up to the neighborhoods that want to have this process and slow people down their neighborhoods. And if they don't want to participate, they don't have to participate. But I know in District 8, from Deer Creek to Carriage Hills, I've gone to every neighborhood meeting, and they are begging for this. Our city is a racetrack, and I want to read you something real quick. And these are our ticket numbers, Kevin, since 2016. These are only tickets we wrote. 2016, we wrote 18,210 tickets. That's a lot of tickets.
That's a lot of money.
That is about the time that we got, quote, debtor's court.
Right.
If you remember.
Right.
Which, at the end of the day, Kevin, was a bad rap. And let me tell you why. The people that were getting locked up in jail for not paying tickets owed thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Right. And weren't making a $20 a month payment.
Yeah.
Eventually, you have to. They weren't, for example, if Kevin got a speeding ticket and missed court date, They weren't coming out and finding Kevin and throwing him in jail. These people owe thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, they need to go to jail.
And wasn't right and wasn't making anything.
Yeah.
All right, so let me go back.
Yeah.
All right, in 16 we wrote 18,000. 17 we wrote 17,600. In 18 we wrote 12,800. In 19 we wrote 10,100. In 20 we wrote 3,500.
Ooh.
In 2021 we wrote 4,951. Last year we wrote 2,930.
Well, maybe we just driving better, brother.
Kevin, you know that ain't true. Listen, this city has become a racetrack.
But
you know it, and I know it.
Right, but do we want to use our policing powers in order to raise money for the city?
That has nothing to do with raising money. It has absolutely nothing.
So where does the money? The money goes to certain places when that ticket is written.
Let me ask you this: if your son's traveling through Vaughn Road and Taylor Road,
right,
and gets hit by an individual that's speeding and runs a red light, what's your thought process going to be then?
I'm personally involved with that, and of course I wonder why the guy was speeding.
Exactly.
But I still don't want
the mentality.
Yeah, but I still don't want the police in charge of raising money for the city.
Listen, and I'll just use Sturbridge. If we hire an off-duty officer to write tickets in Sturbridge, I'll absolutely hope he writes none, because that means people are obeying the laws, and you can see the difference, Kevin. You can't tell me from 2016 to 2022 that all of a sudden we've become a city that abides by the speed limit laws and so forth. It is a huge problem. And listen, I think every council member, this is probably one of the top 1 or 2 complaints that we get at neighborhood meetings about how crazy people are.
But the things that happen amongst this, listen, I can your motive is good,
right?
But the problem is, how many more conflicts will police and citizen have when we start aggressively?
That is a great question.
Going after
people. That is a great question. You know how you avoid that? Abide the speed limit laws. Well, right. Stop at the stop signs. Don't run a red light.
But now
it's simple. Listen, police department. Montgomery Police Department is. Let's say Vaughn Road is 45 miles an hour.
Right.
I promise you. Montgomery Police Department is not out there pulling somebody over that's going 46 miles an hour. I promise you that. So if you don't want that conflict, allegedly, abide by the laws.
Okay, but there are a lot of people who've been, EJI can attest to this. There are a lot of people in jail who didn't do it.
Abide by that, I don't know. But abide by the laws. I have never heard of somebody getting pulled over that was going to.
Let's go to the phone. Somebody wants to talk to you. Good morning, on air.
Good morning, Glenn. LT checking in.
Hey, brother. Good morning.
Hey, lack of accountability for not obeying basic rules. You see it in the schools. You see it everywhere. You see it on the streets of Montgomery. I had a Gold Wing I bought for my retirement, and I sold it this past year because I almost got hit T-boned twice on Atlanta Highway. Scared to ride my motorbike in Montgomery. There's a lack of discipline, just basic discipline about traffic laws, Glenn. And these cars they're producing now, it's not like in the old days. These cars will go, from 0 to 60 in 3 or 4 seconds. And, I don't know what the answer is, Glenn, but you can hear the disdain. You can hear, Kevin, they don't want to be cited for a traffic violation. And it's going to come to a day where the money, rather than trying to pay for overtime, you're going to pay for body bags because you're going to have fatalities all over the city. Because used to, everybody would bust a traffic light. That's just human nature. I've done it. Everybody's done it. But now they go 3 and 4 cars through the intersection after the lights change because they fear no traffic enforcement.
Well, and Steve, you're exactly right. And, one of the reasons that I am trying to do this, as you well know, that we do not have the numbers at the police department to be able to effectively go out and do it, on duty. And, it is what it is, and we have to think outside the box. And, this is one of the solutions that I thought could hopefully change some driving behavior.
Well, do you remember Keith House?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You remember what he was doing? I saw him that morning in 2009. I saw him that morning about 8 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, he was dead laying on a street here in Montgomery. He'd been in a battlefield in a foreign country, but he was working a part-time. He was working an overtime traffic detail and stopped Mario Woodward, who was already a murder suspect, had already served time for murder, and shot him in the neck, and he severed his spine, and he laid out there and died and bled on the street by himself. If this happens, please don't put these officers out there by themselves.
And Steve, we didn't, and I know Keith was during the day. I wrote in the ordinance that 30 minutes before the sun goes down, that if it is done at night, there has to be 2 officers to do this. Now, I did not have it during the day, and that's something we can take a look at, but I did have it at nighttime.
Well, good luck with it, Glenn.
Hey, Steve, while I got you, real quick, can I ask a quick question? I know Kevin's got other calls. The $65 an hour, the council was talking to me, I think it's 35 or 40 now. The council was concerned about individuals not wanting to work, the Hardee's parking lot, at 10 o'clock at night versus writing traffic tickets. Do you see an issue with that, being a former law enforcement officer?
Well, I mean, I'm going to want to make the most money I can, just like anybody else. But I'm telling you right now, Glenn, I wouldn't want to get out here and get in a conflict with somebody where I could stay in a nice, safe parking lot at Hardee's, because you're not going to get, and that's what you hear it, and I hear it from the officers rank and file. They're not being supported, and they're scared to death to get out of the car and try to enforce something, because if something happens, they're not going to be supported.
And that's, Stephen, that's bottom line why I made it $65. I tried to make it so attractive that an individual said, I just have to do it. That was my thought process.
Hey, appreciate your call there, LT. Good morning. On there with Glenn Pruitt.
Good morning, Mr. Pruitt.
Hey, good morning.
I appreciate what you're trying to do, but people like Kevin think this is a money revenue instead of something to try to change behavior. It's almost like the broken windows in New York. If you don't enforce the small stuff, it just builds up. I saw on Vaughn Road that they're riding 4-wheelers doing wheelies all up and down the road. I got a stop sign about 50 yards from my house, and they don't even stop. They don't even slow down.
That's just
try to get a police officer out here just to write a few tickets, maybe to get them to think about it. You can't get one. A couple of weekends ago, there was a ruckus at the thing by Crampton Bowl, whatever we call that now. It took a half hour for a policeman to get there, and the police headquarters ain't a mile away.
Right.
But the big problem, what you're trying to do, the mayor of Montgomery does not want us. He doesn't want to put people in traffic court. He doesn't want to have to, when they go to traffic court and they fine and they don't pay the fines, he don't want to put them in jail. So it doesn't do any good to write tickets unless you're willing to enforce them. But if you don't enforce them, this city is going to get worse and worse. Farm Road sounds like Daytona at night around here, and nobody worries about it. But, Montgomery is a dying city. Hey, can I get you to think about one thing?
Yes, sir.
How about let's look at what the mayor is paying for air travel and maybe put it in the budget to limit it? I don't see a need for him to go to Washington, D.C. every other weekend. Do you?
I think he has a budget for travel. I'm not. I can't.
But
I couldn't tell you
don't know how
off the
much
top of my
he
head.
spent on it. You don't know how much he spent on travel.
No, sir. He doesn't check with me when he goes out of town.
And you know what? There were people that asked, and he told them take him to court. But you can limit that. You're the one that put the money out there. You can limit his travel. You can limit that budget.
And I'll look at it, but there is a number, and I don't know the number, and I don't know how much he's traveled, but I will look at the number.
Appreciate it. Let me take one more call. We're going to take my last break it out. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Kevin.
Yes.
I agree with everything that he's saying. But he says that he hopes that they write no ticket. So do the officer get paid if he writes no ticket?
Absolutely.
Also?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, officers get paid. So,
yes, sir. Absolutely.
So that means that we're gonna have to have a revenue to keep paying him. And actually the officers that are on now could do that if they wanted to. So I don't think.
Are you talking about like on duty can do that right now?
On duty.
They cannot. And here's the reason: we are so short and so understaffed.
No, come on, Mr. Pruitt, come on. We're not that short.
You want to come to our next council meeting, and you'll see how short we are.
It would be. I see policemen driving around chilling all the time. And let me say this: I've got a support the police sign in my yard.
Right.
So I support the police. But the police has issues also. I mean, I sometimes I see police chilling, doing nothing. Sometimes I see them parked, chilling, doing nothing. So, I mean, this is a situation where if you wanted to give, and see, the people who are driving like they're driving now, they're not going to be the ones that's going to get the tickets. It's going to be the people that's driving 10 or 15 miles maybe over the speed limit. Either those guys are going to outrun the police. So if you give tickets to those people who are driving those high-powered cars, give a few of them.
Right.
They'll stop it. But see, I've never seen, ever, a policeman stop one of these fast-running cars. And in my neighborhood, I feel like going out and playing the police myself, but I got more sense than that.
Well, if this does pass through your neighborhood association, you can get
Glenn, you cannot put this on the neighborhood association.
Wait, no. I'm not. Well, let me ask you this: why am I putting it on the neighborhood association? I'm talking the neighborhood association.
You're saying that
it is an avenue to hang on. It is an avenue to pay the police off. The money would come from the city council to the neighborhood association, so it's not coming out of the quote neighborhood general fund, correct? So the money comes from the city council to the neighborhood association. It has to be a nonprofit. The neighborhood association did, when it turned, hire the off-duty officer to sit, and I'm just going to use, again, Sturbridge Drive and Sturbridge Court. They would sit there and write tickets for, running stop signs, speed limit, or whatever. But it would not come out of the general fund of a neighborhood association. The city council would pay for that.
That's smoke and mirrors.
That ain't smoke and mirrors. Brother, I've done it in Carriage Hill.
Let me share with you why. Let me share with you why that's smoke and mirrors.
Well, I got to get some more callers in, but
the persons that are going to get those tickets are not going to be the person that's speeding with these high-powered cars. You cannot say to me that the police cannot stop those high-powered cars now and give them a ticket.
They can, but hey, let me do this now. Hey, take this number down, 300-3611. Holler at me. I know Kevin wanted to go to the next call, but call me and we can talk about it further, brother.
All right. Again, and he brought up something, the unintended consequences. Now, I get behind the Challenger.
Right.
I'm the popo. That Challenger gets up to 90 or 100 miles an hour. Do we pursue or do we let him go?
That's actually up to Chief Albert. I don't know what their policy is, but if it's Glenn Pruitt, I'm going to pursue.
Even though you may put other people's lives in danger.
At the end of the day, we've got to enforce these laws. And I think, we've become a society of holding hands and singing Kumbaya.
I'm with you. But do you believe that even now they're pursuing a speeder is good? It's a good policy.
I do, but I'm not the chief. I ain't the chief. I'm nobody.
Even though they're injured people, you can injure people who have nothing to do with it.
Within reason, absolutely. We go catch that guy.
Okay, I just thought I'd ask a question.
That's mine.
Good morning. Good morning. You're on air.
Good morning. About 2 years ago, there was a police chase all the way down Del Reyta, all the way to the back gate, almost to all the way to the back gate of Gunner Annex. It went past the elementary school. There was police, there was SUVs, there was privately owned police cars chasing this one Mustang. Well, it wasn't a Mustang. It was a black
Charger.
I think a BMW. It went right past the Del Reyes school. There could have been people hurt. I'm just wondering why the police couldn't have waited for that man. He was trying to get out. He would have never been able to get out because there's just different roads that blocks the area, and some of the roads go on to Atlanta Highway. Someone could have got hurt. A lot of children could have got hurt. Thank the Lord it wasn't right at 3:00 when the children, get out of the school. And another thing is on Saturdays you see these funeral proceedings. The police are controlling the traffic on these funerals.
Yes, sir.
On Saturdays, but when you call a police that you need a policeman on Saturday, you can't find one.
Well, and those are off duty that are doing those. Those are not on duty police officers. So, those...
Yeah, but I mean, they're they may be off duty, but they're still using the SUV city's cars. They're still in their uniform, and to me, if you're in your uniform and you're still using the city's cars or the SUVs, to me, you're on duty.
No, listen, and that was sort of the argument I had with Kevin, but those individuals that are doing funeral processions, they can't leave the funeral to come to your house. I mean, that just is what it is. They're going to have an officer that's on duty.
One more thing I'll hang up. Citizens have the right to apprehend criminals. And if I was to go there and I saw call the police first, and the police didn't show up, I have the right as a citizen to apprehend that criminal or that person that did a unjustly wrong thing, like doing donuts on Atlanta Highway right off where Atlanta Highway where the Virginia college used to be at.
Yes, sir.
One Saturday morning, I saw people doing I saw this one car doing a donut right in the center of that parking area. I wanted to go over there and I wanted to challenge him.
Now, are you really going to put your life and limb in danger to stop a guy?
I would go. I would go over there and I would ask him, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "Wait a few minutes right here. Let me call a policeman and we'll talk with the policeman. And if he challenges me, I'm going to challenge him."
Well, make sure you take your piece with you. I'm just saying, you might want to take the piece with you. You don't want to go over there and challenge these young folks.
I do. I carry one. I carry one wherever I go.
Okay.
I never take it out. I never take it out unless I'm threatened.
Well, if you'd like to, I'd love for you to go through the police academy and become an MPD officer.
I think I'm too old, but I would love it. But I think I'm too old for it. They may not let me go.
Yeah, I think I'm a little too old to. Else I'd come do it. But pushing that car, putting that 200 and some pound guy on my back.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do it. Pushing the bus.
And the last time I remember the citizens' arrest, wasn't it on Andy Griffin?
Yeah,
citizens' arrest. That was old Gomer.
We'll be back. Our guest this morning is Mr. Glenn Pruitt, Councilman for District Number 8. I thought that was so what happened? You took over. I thought, where's the white-haired guy down there? What's in there? I don't
Charlie.
see him. Yeah, that ain't.
He's on the other side of Vaughan Road.
Oh, okay.
He's on the other side, the Wind Lakes and Woodmere and all that side.
Well, it ain't no trouble. We'll be back.
WSFA First Alert.
I think Glenn got a little chicken in him.
You said I'm honorary.
Yeah, you're honorary, brother. That's what you are. Anyway, our numbers are 860-1440. Want to give us a call? You can text me 334-241-9998. And if you don't want to be on the air, so who's been holding the longest here? Oh, this guy right here. I forgot him. Good morning, you're on air.
Good morning, Kevin, again.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, Mr. Pruitt.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you putting a handle on this call. This is your situation. You took a step out on faith, and you knew you were going to take a pouncing.
Yes, sir.
But the good thing is you're out there and you're trying to do something. And I hope the other 8 council members follow suit and try to come up with something to make the city safer, better, and whatever. But my thought count is this morning on the ticketing. Is it true that the police pretty much stop writing tickets because they have to show up for court, and if they don't, they're penalized? You can add that.
That is true. They do have to show up. They do have to show up for court if the individual wants to go to court and contest it. And another thing is that if they go to court, well, guess what? That's one more less officer that we have on the streets. So sometimes it's not on their off days. So it's a catch-22 for them.
Okay. I think we're trying to get the police chief to actually call in. Somebody said he may be trying to call. So if he calls in, we'll bring him online in this conversation.
Also, I just wanted to mention, I tell you, we got to do something because, like many of the callers have stated this morning, it's almost like the police are not being respected. And I got the utmost respect for the police. And I'm driving down the street, and I'm at a stoplight, cars in front of them, and I look and see a tag. I could understand if the tag was expired, say about a month, and you slips your mind. But years? I'm looking at, I was in front of one yesterday. I was hoping my eyes were going bad. I saw 22. And I tried to count to see what year it was. And come on now. I mean, I gotta let you.
Hey, appreciate it. I gotta let you go. I think I got the chief on with us right now. Chief, is that you?
This is Chief Albert. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Chief. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. So, what's on your mind?
Well, what's on my mind is I know we got some conversation and dialogue talking about performance of the Montgomery Police Department, and I just have some. I think contradictory numbers than the numbers that were put out a little while ago. So, just to kind of reiterate, first of all, I've said on your show and I say around the public and everywhere I go that, this police department has 100% support from Mayor Reed and his administration, of course, Chip Hill and the city council. So, we get the work done because we have an awesome team behind us helping us. But when we talk about I always say the good, the bad, and the ugly. I put everything that we have out front in front of the public, and whether it be going through, newspaper, whether it's going through online, it doesn't matter. We believe in putting the numbers out and letting the public know what we do. So the numbers that I have regarding traffic enforcement, the numbers that I have regarding trying to reduce, the speeding and the other illegal activities that our drivers are doing here in the city are quite different than was put out a few minutes ago. So, I want to put those numbers out there, and then we can talk about it if you want to after that. So, I'll just kind of go back and I'll look at the numbers most recent. I'll say 2021, 2022, and I'll touch on 2023 if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So, the numbers that was reported for 2021 was somewhere around 4,951 as titled standing tickets. And I tell you, our data comes from the state, which is called e-sites. They're electronically done on devices that our officers have, and they're recorded through the state. That's not something the Montgomery Police Department has. That's internal. It's state recorded, it's state kept, and it's state run. So those numbers from, when I talk about, let's start with 2021, 4,951 citations for 2021. Our records and our data shows 27,759 citations, with 5,801 of those being citations for speeding. And that directly shows.
And I didn't mean to interrupt you, Chief. I've got the total number of tickets. All I'm talking about speeding tickets.
And the interaction between a cop and a violator. That's not some pie in the sky. That's a direct connection between a police officer out in the field and a violator. That's a huge contrast than the numbers that was put out. Now go into 2022.
Hang on, Chief. Let's address that real quick. You said 5,081 speeding tickets or something like that.
5,801 speeding tickets.
I've got 4,900 that came from our from our municipal court. So that's Chief. I've got the total number of tickets, and it is a big difference. I've got almost the exact numbers you have. All I'm talking about is speeding tickets. That's all I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the number of tickets that whatever else happened or that sort of thing. I'm strictly talking about speeding tickets.
I think it's very important to talk about, because when we stop someone for speeding, we stop someone for equipment violation, we stop someone for running a red light or a stop sign, that is interaction between someone in the public and a police officer. It takes time for an officer to go through the proper documentation, license, registration, etc. So it's important to talk about those interactions that police officers are having. When I said that is recorded, not so much by MPD, but by the state. That's state numbers. And those state numbers show 5,801 for 2021. Now going to 2022, since we're at it, it's showing 2,930. 2,930 for 2022. Huge contrast. Right now, total citations for 2022, over 20,000 police officer and violator citations. 20,215 to be exact, with 3,542 citations being for speeding.
Chief, let me see if I can understand something here, though. So,
officer violator contact, and although traffic is very, very important,
right,
we believe in that. Last year, we had a higher number of fatalities in our city, and we did some social media campaigns to talk about that. And this year, the fatalities have been cut in half. So that is a direct result of the enforcement that we're doing again this year, that it's gotten our attention. It made us kind of refocus some of the things that we're doing. But, that goes along with, of course, the other work we're doing in the community, the reduction in crime and violent crime, the reduction that we had last year in homicides, the reduction we had in shooting incidents. All of that goes along to painting the picture that, our officers, our men and women are out there doing the work every single day. And this traffic is very, very important for us, and we don't take it lightly.
Okay, Chief, let me ask you a question just so I can get an understanding. A speeding ticket is counted differently than a general ticket. Is that not so?
It is, absolutely.
Okay. So what you were giving us, Glenn, was
the speeding. I've got every number, and what I want to ask you, Chief, is how is the number that I have, that I got from our court system, where they go to pay, how is my number different than the state by about 300 or 400 tickets or so? How am I different? Or where's it coming up different? How is that happening?
I'm not sure where you get your data from, sir. And
it's from our court system, Chief.
Ours is reported to the Alabama, ALTOP. That's the place, and it's through electronic citations. Again, it's citations that's done on the devices that our officers are equipped with, and they go directly. There's no delay. There's no hold up. There's no hold back. Now, I'm not sure what the court provided, what section of the court provided. It's a clerk. I'm not sure how that works, but I would definitely validate those numbers if I were you. But I can tell you the numbers that we have. They're not manipulated. They're straight. They are what they are. And again, I said before, and I'll continue to tell the public that we'll talk about the good when we can, and we'll talk about when we're doing something that we need to improve on. And I think, there's always room for improvement, especially when it comes down to reducing the number of fatalities and speeding incidents. And look, I get those emails from the constituents. I get those contacts and those calls in my office all the time about, extra patrol and trying to do a little bit more to make our city safe in terms of traffic. And we do. We deploy. We do extra patrols. We do everything. And while we're doing the other work of responding to folks that's in need and handling the other calls that we receive. So, this administration, the police department, and the council will continue to work together. I think, Councilman Pruitt, along with myself, we can get to the side and determine what's going on with these numbers so we can ensure that what we're putting out is correct. And just so that the public knows that we're doing everything we can to make the city safer.
And Chief, again, let me share this with you, and I'll let you run. I've got those numbers you got, and I also have the total tickets. For example, in 2019, we wrote 48,723 tickets. And out of that number, we wrote 10,150. And again, these are coming from our court system. So I've got those numbers, and and I hope I didn't mislead anybody when I said that's all the tickets we were writing. All I was talking about, Chief, was traffic enforcement and speeding tickets.
Chief, one more question. Then I'll let you. Do you believe, after the George Floyd incident and all of these things, that officers are somewhat apprehensive in a way? Has that, because we see it across the nation, politically, it seems that some of our policemen are filled under deluge from the politics of our society, as opposed to the actual being police officers and upholding the law. Do you feel that somehow the politics of our culture is affecting the police forces across this nation?
That is a great question, and there's no doubt that's been something that police departments and mayors and police chiefs around this nation have been dealing with. I will say firm that, when I talk about the men and women of this police department, there's 18,000 law enforcement agencies around this nation, and only 5% of those agencies are accredited by the gold standard. And that's a very tough accreditation process. And we were just reaccredited in the Montgomery Police Department as an accredited police department. So I'm very proud of the work they do. Secondly is, there's no doubt that this administration, this police chief, and the executive team from this police department, including our city council, support our men and women, and that is why we had success last year. That is why our officers are getting out and engaging. I'm not talking about just special units with our SWAT team, gang unit, narcotics. I'm talking about the officers on the street, the ones responding to calls for service. They're getting there as fast as they can. They're taking action. They're making arrests. They're giving advice. They're doing the things that cops are doing. I'm very, very proud of the men and women of this department. And when we talk about departments around this country that's going through the defund movement, and I'll say this administration, this city council have done nothing but invested in our men and women. Look, we have new vehicles. We have new patrol rifles. We have new tasers. Look, these new tasers that we have, that they're still coming in, we're the first in the world to get the new Taser 10 system. And get it right, not the nation, but the world, to get this new system. That's an investment by our administration to make sure our cops have the best technology that's out there. Look, new tasers, new patrol rifles. We have new vehicles coming in. We have new computers coming in. These are things that we needed. We have new body-worn cameras. These are things that our men and women need to bring us and keep us on the cutting edge of technology so that we can do our work better. So I want to say thank you to Mayor Reed and his administration. I want to say thank you to our council for supporting us. And look, the public, every chance I get, I thank the public for their trust and their confidence in the men and women of this department.
All right, Chief. Hey, thanks for calling in. Don't be a stranger. Pick up the phone anytime. You got my VIP line, and if we getting it wrong, call us so we can get it right.
No, we're good. Thank you, Mr. Pruitt.
Thanks,
and
Chief.
we have to do behind the scenes and make sure we get this together.
I look forward to it. Thanks.
Appreciate it. We got a couple minutes left. Take two calls quick, and then I'll give Glenn the last one. We only got a couple minutes. Good morning, you're on air.
Good morning, Kevin.
Yeah.
Hi. Good morning.
Hey, Hobson, how are you, man?
Good. That article you read the other day for the kid from Valiant Cross, you should read that. Change it from what he was talking about to this meeting, and you just accomplished what he was talking about. I actually subscribed to the Advertiser after I read it. We all need to get a paper. But anyway, and the chief of New Orleans, the chief is from New Orleans. We need to figure out a way to come up with some punitive, because they're not going to pay it. So all the money that we're investing in the overtime for these people is just going to be, there's no return on our investment probably if they're still not going to pay the tickets.
Right.
What I suggest is you got communities around the country, if you get caught speeding, and I've been through this twice, once in Perrysburg, Ohio, and I had to stay there until the money was wired to them.
Okay, I've got to. I'm running out of time, bro.
Cars.
Appreciate it.
You impound the car.
Yeah.
Hey, Hobson,
when they pay for it.
Hobson, and you go ahead. They are working on that. Hobson, they're chasing these car clubs all over town. I think Councilman Calhoun is working on something to do.
Okay, hey, you got about 30 seconds to get your question out. Sorry about that, but time is. I don't have much. Good morning.
Well, what we could use are speed bumps in these long streets that follow through in our communities. You don't have to have any police reaction with the speed bump. It'll slow them down.
And Kevin, I'm doing that now in our district. I've already started putting them in 3 or 4 neighborhoods. Yeah. I'm putting them in Bell Station, Brighton Estates. I'll just go faster going over the bump. Well, let me share this with you. I won't tell you who it is. One of the people down at City Hall was coming out of their neighborhood and at night and did not realize we'd put those down. And he called me. And he almost ended up in somebody else's yard. And he said, Glenn, I slow down now. So she's right. And that's what it's for. That's exactly. All right, one more call. Hey, you got 30 seconds. Quick.
Councilman, do police officers have a quota as far as how many tickets they're supposed to give out? And that vigilante justice is kind of dangerous. No.
I mean, if they got a quota, they ain't meeting it. No.
Well, we don't want them to have a quota.
But the moral of the story is, Kevin, to change
behavior.
The driving behavior, period. People are getting tired of racing up and down the roads, and it's changing driving behavior.
But the unintended consequences of this will bear out.
That's in anything in life.
I know, but we've been this route before, right. and we know. You know that, and now we live in a system where now you can carry a gun concealed and don't have to tell the police.
And I don't agree with that.
The unintended consequences of this will at some point rear its ugly head. Anyway, Glenn,
I talked about that.
Yeah, thank you for coming up. I appreciate it,
man. Absolutely, and I look forward to it. Maybe in a couple of weeks we can come back and have the police review board conversation.
And I'm all for it.
I'm all against it. That's why we need to have a conversation.
But that's why I'm the mayor of the Airwaves in that city.
That's right. That's why I'm not on the radio.
Anyway, Councilman Glenn Pruitt, if you want, read it. If you need him, call him.
Hey, 300-3611, 300-3611. If you need me, call me.
We'll see you.
WSFA 12 News Up 1440.
Good morning.